Lewis does not have any real friends. He's a smart kid, he's disciplined, and he works extremely hard on his inventions and what he wants to make, but he has no one to share it with. Whenever he tries to make a new friend, he always pushes them away. Lewis doesn't know what he's doing wrong. Now, it takes Lewis a while to sit back and reflect, and why am I so good at making things, and why am I so good at actually doing the work that I want to do, but why don't people seem to want to look at it, and why can't I show my brilliant inventions to other people? Now, it takes Lewis a little while, but eventually he comes to the conclusion that it's not the other people who don't like his inventions' fault, it's his fault. He's not a very likable person. See, Lewis is either extremely quiet and thinks the other people are inferior to him because he's so smart, or he just talks about himself and he never takes an interest to other people. Now, fast forward 5 years into the future. Lewis is a successful entrepreneur. He has over 100 employees working for him. He has a beautiful family, and people genuinely like him. Whenever Lewis walks into the room, everyone is excited to see him because 1, he creates cool things, but 2, he's likable to be around. I remember when I started grade 7, my best friend had just moved away, and at the start of the year, I didn't have a lot of friends. Over the first month or two and actually trying to make friends, I didn't really make any. Yes, I knew some people and I was kind of acquaintances with other people, but I didn't find a best friend, or I didn't find a group that I was comfortable with. And at first I thought it was everyone else's fault, but when I actually took a step back and looked and reflected on some of the aspects of myself, I realized that I was always being negative, and I thought the world was against me. I thought people weren't good enough to be my friend, and I thought that these people needed to be my friend, right? That made those first few months an extremely lonely period of time, but I was doing it to myself, and I was always focused on how bad everything was instead of actually taking a step back and thinking, okay, something's wrong here, and actually taking a look at myself and having humility and looking at myself and thinking, okay, what can I do to actually start being a more likable person? Now, the first thing that makes you socially unlikable is being too self-centered. We all know people who, once you start talking to them and you ask them a question about themselves, all they do is talk about themselves. They can talk for days about what they're doing and what they did last week and and it's almost like you're not even there. Now, I'm an introverted guy, and I like when other people talk, especially about things that they're passionate about. But when a conversation is just one-sided, then it takes the other person out of it, and they don't want to be there, because a conversation and relationships are a two-way street, right? So if you're not acknowledging the other person and you're not taking a genuine interest into them, then people aren't going to like you, because all you're focused on is yourself. For me, when I started middle school, all I was focused on was the fact that I didn't have any friends, and I wanted people to be my friend and just contribute to my life, right? But I never wanted to get anything back. I didn't take an interest to these people because I wanted to be their friend and actually help them with their life. I was just lonely, and I wanted people to help me with my life. So this takes some humility, and actually take a step back and think, am I too self-centered? And I'm not saying you're a bad person, and I'm not saying that people don't like you because you just talk about yourself, but being self-centered is off-putting to a lot of people, and you just kind of have to sometimes take a step back and think that, what am I contributing to other people in order to actually have a decent relationship with them? The second reason is you can't take no for an answer. There's a lot of people in the world, and I am one of them. If you want something, you want to do everything in your power to go and get it, and sometimes this can work against your favor, especially if you ask someone to hang out and they say no and they don't give you an answer. You can be like interrogating them. Tell me why aren't you here? What are you doing? Give me a reason why. You keep trying to beat it out of them, and you can't take no for an answer, and that is extremely repulsive. If someone tells you no, that means no, right? A lot of people, and a lot of guys especially, are terrible with rejection, and if a girl tells them no, or a girl rejects them, then they're gonna keep trying to talk to them or message them on Instagram or say, hey, do you need help with your project? Or hey, let me help you work out. Like, just take no for an answer. It's not that hard. You have to understand that no means no. You have to understand that not everything is gonna go your way. Not everything in life works out the exact way we want it, and people are gonna say no, and that's okay. You just have to take that in stride and just live with it. Number 3, and this is one I struggle with a lot, is you don't take compliments in the right way. It's extremely easy, if someone gives you a genuine, good-hearted compliment, to be so focused on the negative aspects of life and not accept that compliment. I remember I was playing drums at this gig, and my drum teacher was there playing with a band that was going to go on a little bit later, and I had this section in the song where the band cut out and I played this solo, and as I was playing, I started pretty good, but I'm kind of botched this section at the end where I do a big roll and I build it up, and I kind of went off rhythm a little bit, and I was kind of hard on myself for it. But when I went over after our set was done, my teacher was like, hey, I loved your solo, you did this really good. And I was like, oh yeah, but I botched this part. And what that does is it takes the compliment someone gives to you and like it shoves it back in their face, right? Like it's like, oh yeah, I like this about you, and you say, oh, but it's ugly, and it's like off-putting, and like, okay, I won't give you a compliment next time, right? If someone gives you a compliment, even if you're focused and you think you did something bad, just say thanks. That's literally what it comes down to. And the other part of this is, don't be so hard on yourself. I'm extremely bad with this. I think everything needs to be perfect and I want to do this better. You sometimes have to get out of your own brain, because our brain wants perfection, right? Which is unattainable. So you have to take a step back and think, if I'm just a regular person watching someone do something, or I'm someone watching someone else do something that they do really well and I give them a compliment, you expect them just to say thanks. You're trying to make their day better, right? If someone gives you a compliment, literally just say thanks. And it's something I have to watch a lot, because I'm always trying to critique my performance and I always want to get better, which is good, but sometimes you just have to take a step back and think like, yeah, I'm making progress. Yeah, that solo was good. Even though I watched that part at the end, it was still a good solo and people liked it. So just be happy with it and just accept the compliment. Number 4 is you don't have a filter. Now, we all know people who always seem to say the wrong thing at the wrong time, right? Especially in this, school is a big one. Swearing is an extremely big one. There's a time and a place for swearing, right? There's a time and a place for everything. Last year when I was in school, there's been times where a student is talking to a teacher, like in front of the whole class, right? They're having a discussion while everyone's doing the work, and the student won't notice that they're talking to the teacher, and they'll drop like 5 F-bombs or whatever, and you just have to notice that there's a time and a place for everything, right? Just having good social intelligence in general and knowing when to do something and when not is an extremely valuable skill. It's like when you're trying to approach someone and actually talk to them, it's like you don't come up from behind them and put your hand on their shoulder, because you're going to scare them. They're going to turn around and bop you with an elbow or something like that because you scared them. But it's just knowing when to do things and when not. And I know I struggle with this a lot. It's also talking about certain things, right? I'm extremely into self-improvement and working out and fitness, and sometimes when someone asks a question about how to do this and improve this, I'll go on a rant about self-improvement and how you should cut out these habits, and like, not everyone needs to hear that, right? There's a time and a place for it. This is not how I talk to everyone on a regular basis, right? I'm just going to be civil with everyone I talk to, unless they're just being a bad person in general. But there's a time and a place for everything, right? If you've clicked on this video, you're here to learn. And not everyone I talk to wants to learn about self-improvement or whatever, right? And not everyone you talk to wants to hear you swear 5 times. But if you're in the gym with your friend and you're trying to hype them up, like, yeah, there's a time and a place for it. So just work on your social intelligence and know there is a time and a place for everything. Number 5 is a strange one, and it's one I struggled with a lot, and it's you're not okay with being alone. You can't spend all day with people, right? You have to be comfortable with doing stuff alone. Your friends are going to get busy. Their life does not revolve around you, and you need to be comfortable with being by yourself sometimes. Like at the start when I said I was in grade 7, I was not comfortable with being by myself at all. When I actually started to make some new friends, I wanted to spend a whole day with them and see them every day, because I was not comfortable with myself and actually being alone. Now, I know being alone is hard for a lot of people, and it takes a real kind of reflective personality to actually like being alone. And now some people really like being alone, but there's others who just can't stand it. You have to notice that if you spend too much time with someone, that it's gonna ruin your relationship, because there's a balance to everything, right? I noticed this with a lot of guys when they get into that first relationship, right? And they're really obsessed with this girl. They want to spend all day with her and spend 24/7, see her Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They want to spend all day with them, right? But you need to be able to take a step back and actually go live your own life, because it's going to ruin the relationship with you have. Friends and people you're in a relationship should be coming into your life and be attracted to the lifestyle you're living. Your life should not revolve around them, right? It should revolve around you. You should have things that you do by yourself and things that you're okay with doing, and hobbies that you're fine with actually working on alone, and just learning to love being alone. You can't spend 24/7 with your friends, and you can't always be surrounded by people. You need to be able to take some time alone and just reflect, and let other people recharge as well. Now, this is difficult for a lot of people because if you spent maybe a few years where you didn't have a lot of friends, or growing up you had no friends at all, then it's hard to like being alone because you've associated a lot of negative experience with it, and I understand this. And once you do finally start to have some friends and actually start to meet some people, and it's so easy to just want to spend all the time with them. But you have to remember that people need their space, and you need your space as well. You need to find something that you're okay with doing alone. Now, this can go a lot deeper than just finding stuff to do alone. This can go as deep as finding your purpose in your career. And if I never spent time alone, then I would never have gone into music, playing basketball, and getting into all these things, or making videos like this and trying to pursue something that's bigger than myself. The reason I do this is not just to make videos because I like it. It's because I think there's people out there who genuinely need to hear this knowledge and genuinely need to learn actually how to make friends, and that's what I'm doing here. The advice that I used to look at and the advice that I saw on how to make friends never worked for me. I had to try a lot of different things and find out what worked, because there's a lot of advice there that is absolutely trash. So my goal with this and teaching you guys actually how to do this is cultivate a better life for yourself. Friendship and relationships that's the glue to your life. You can have a purpose that you love to do, but if you don't have social interaction and if you don't have people to share it with, then what's it all for, right? Relationships and social connection and family and friends, this is what gives our life meaning. This is like the best part of our lives, right? There's no reason to work so hard and work at a job you hate, even if it's making you a lot of money, and work so hard to make money or get status or get fame or whatever it is, if you don't have anyone to share it with, right? If you're working really hard just to make money, but you have no friends and you have no one to share it with, then you can't buy anything worthwhile, and you can't use that money for anything good. You can just buy more mediocrity, because the best moments in life are when we're at the gym with our best friend and you're going up for that bench press, you're going for that PR, right? And you're pushing real hard, and your friend just looks down at you and starts laughing because he thinks it's funny, and then you start laughing and drop the weight on your chest, and then everyone's laughing and you can't get it up, so you have to roll it off. But you just start dying laughing with them, and it's moments like these where you have just so much fun and you just enjoy being around each other. It's the moments where you're traveling and you meet amazing people from different countries, all areas of the world, and you meet and you have genuine deep connection with them. You discover what they're passionate about, and you actually talk about how much you have in common, right? These are the beautiful moments in life. It's not just about success or money, it's about relationships, right? And not a lot of people teach you how to cultivate decent relationships. No one taught us this in school. The YouTube videos that are out there have okay advice, but there's not a lot of people who will show you how to discover this, and that is what I'm doing here. I am trying to help you discover what it feels like to actually have these amazing relationships, because I've been there, I've been without them, but to do that, you actually have to be okay with spending some time alone. Life is a balance. That's literally what it comes down to, and I think a lot of self-improvement advice is overcomplicated. They try and get all these different things. Oh, you need this business model, drop shipping, affiliate marketing, Life is simple. Just bring it back down to what you actually value. Life is a balance. It's a balance of how much work you do and how much time you spend with your family and your friends. You have to be okay with balancing the time that you spend alone with the time that you spend with other people. And there's gonna be periods where you're gonna have to be alone for a while. And loneliness sucks. I know. I'm teaching you how to overcome that. That is my mission here, to teach you how to overcome being lonely. But there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. You can be alone and not feel lonely because you enjoy what you're doing and you've worked on your mental health, or you can be with other people and feel lonely. See, there's a big difference. So I know I've gone on a big rant on this video, but I think it's gonna help someone. And I know there's other people who need to hear this advice, so here you go. You're welcome.